They preach to millions, advise world leaders, and command vast empires of faith. These powerful black pastors have built megachurches, shaped politics, and influenced culture like never before. But who are they?
I need y'all to hear me. God separated you.
How did they rise to such power? And what secrets lie behind their level of power? Get ready to uncover the most powerful black pastors in the world, starting with a man so powerful he has directly involved himself in national politics. Mark Burns. One of the few pastors in this video that's directly involved in politics is John Mark Burns. As the leader of Harvest Praise and Worship Center in South Carolina and the co-founder of the Now television network, Burns has built a platform that reaches millions. But his presence in American politics is where his impact truly deepens.
And mighty things, God said, I've got to separate you from your skin.
A vocal supporter of Donald Trump during the 2016 election, Burns quickly became one of the most recognizable faith leaders in conservative circles. Time magazine dubbed him Trump's top pastor, and by 2023 he was a key figure on the board of pastors for Trump, solidifying his role in the political sphere. His attempts to enter Congress through South Carolina's 4th and 3rd district may not have been successful, but they further cemented his reputation as a powerful voice in religious and political discussions. His speech at the 2016 Republican National Convention, where he called Trump a man of God and framed the Democratic Party as opponents, sparked both support and controversy, something that has followed him throughout his career. Once a supporter of Barack Obama, Burns later aligned himself with conservative politics, calling his shift a moment of clarity. Whether through his sermons, television network, or political advocacy, Burns remains an influential and divisive figure, one whose words continue to shape conversations on faith and leadership in America. As a black conservative who openly supports Trump, he has faced a lot of criticism. Some have even said he's just aligning himself with the winning team to reap the benefits. He may have lost in the U.S. House elections all 3 times he's attempted it, but there's no doubt that every black conservative cites him as a pivotal figure that not all people of color are Democrats. While he may be a powerful pastor that's not on the side of the Democrats, this next pastor is. T.D. Jakes. T.D. Jakes isn't just a pastor. He's a powerhouse in North American Christianity. His ministry, the Potter's House, draws thousands to its physical congregation, but its reach extends to millions through televised sermons and digital broadcast. Yet his influence doesn't stop at the pulpit. Jakes has cemented himself as a major force in Christian media, producing films, hosting events, and shaping conversations on faith, success, and personal growth. This isn't just a megachurch leader. We're talking about a celebrity pastor, rubbing shoulders with the likes of Oprah, Steve Harvey, and Tyler Perry. With a platform that stretches far beyond the church walls, T.D. Jakes isn't just a preacher, he's a cultural icon. Given his reputation and sphere of influence, T.D. Jakes is a figure a lot of people look up to, especially in times of political and social divide.
For the children of Israel, it was the blood of the Lamb that was painted on the doorposts. And death angel passed by and said, when I see the blood, I will pass over you.
And the Democrats have used this to their advantage. Every U.S. election, T.D. Jakes has shown strong support for the Democratic candidate, from Obama to Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, to recently Kamala Harris. He is a voice that has backed all of these politicians. He's also been successful with it, given the massive turn-up from both his church and local community. And his church firmly believe in his integrity. That's why, although he has been seen with various celebrities who have cases against them, they have vehemently come to his defense while critics blast him. Sometimes pastors can get so powerful that people are scared to speak up against them. E.A. Adeboye. Very few religious leaders can stand alongside Pastor E. Adeboye, the powerhouse at the helm of the Redeemed Christian Church of God. His journey into ministry began in the 1970s, but when he realized his calling was bigger than the classroom, he made a life-altering decision. He walked away from a promising academic career to serve God full-time. Today, Adeboye isn't just a pastor, he's a force in the Christian world. With countless publications to his name and leadership over one of Nigeria's largest congregations, his influence stretches far beyond the country's borders.
No more failure. No more sickness. No more pain.
Across Africa and beyond, he's regarded as one of the most prominent spiritual figures of our time. That's why his influence is very immeasurable. He was dined with plenty political leaders throughout the years, with many seeking his support, as they know that he has the power to sway the masses to their side. And when Adeboye has shown dissatisfaction for a leader, plenty of his fellow Nigerians follow suit. Back in the early 2010s, when Nigeria was still under Goodluck Jonathan's administration, Pastor Adeboye was very vocal about his dissatisfaction with the president at the time. Anytime he took to the streets to protest, he would have his whole congregation behind him in the hundreds of thousands. This was one of the reasons why so many Nigerians, especially RCCG members, turned up to vote Goodluck out. In the two administrations since then, he has made visits to both former President Buhari and current President Tinubu to share his ideas with them and lobby for development and progress. What makes this so impressive is that he's able to do this without ever holding a government position or appointment. One man who shares as much power as Pastor Adeboye but doesn't use it as much is Bishop Oyedepo. Bishop Oyedepo. Bishop David Oyedepo may be famously known as the head pastor and bishop of one of the biggest churches in Nigeria, but having spent close to half a century in ministry, he's more than just a pastor now. He's also an author, televangelist, philanthropist, and many other things. By 2011, he was regarded as the richest pastor in the world when Forbes estimated that his net worth was around $150 million. But aside from the money, his range of influence is something that not many pastors can match. On his 70th birthday, his influence was felt as many Christians in Nigeria and all over the world gathered to celebrate him. He was also celebrated by many other popular pastors, such as Pastor David Ibiyeomie and Pastor Biodun Fatoyinbo, who cited him as not just an inspiration, but also their spiritual father. Even the president of Nigeria sent his well wishes personally to the Living Faith pastor. The widespread media attention on his birthday is just one of many signs of just how powerful Bishop Oyedepo is. Not only does he own his own city, but he governs it. Before the turn of the new century, Bishop Oyedepo purchased over 500 acres of land in Ota, Ogun State.
For serving Christ, there is always returns,
where he would build both his church and residence. Today, Canaan land is home to thousands of people and businesses, and as much as most of his ministry and life is situated there, his power and influence extend further than that. He has been able to lobby the Nigerian government to approve various personal projects of his without breaking a sweat. He is one of the few people to openly criticize the Nigerian government without fear of consequences or backlash. Back in 2020, he called out President Buhari and the federal government for their incompetence and corruption. He did this not once, but severally, until the end of Buhari's 8-year tenure. While he has been less vocal about national politics recently, it's certain that Bishop Oyedepo has the power to unite the Christians in his country as much as he can divide them. As a man of influence and power, anyone who he has mentored certainly shares this trait. That's why David Ibiyeomie is gaining power and popularity in recent years. David Ibiyeomie. Born on October 21, 1962, in Bonny Island, Rivers State, David Ibiyeomie's path to ministry wasn't immediate, but once he stepped into it, there was no turning back. In 1995, he took a decisive step toward his calling by enrolling in the Word of Faith Bible Institute, an extension of Bishop David Oyedepo's ministry. Just 2 years later, on April 13, 1997, he founded Salvation Ministries in Port Harcourt, with only a handful of people in attendance.
The Almighty God is the only wise God.
But what started as a small gathering quickly transformed into a movement. By 2011, the church wasn't just growing, it was expanding at an unprecedented rate. 14 satellite branches were launched in a single day, each holding 5 services. Fast forward to today, and Salvation Ministries draws tens of thousands of worshipers every Sunday at its headquarters alone. David Ibiyeomie's influence extends beyond the pulpit. As a televangelist and author, his reach has gone global, solidifying his reputation as a spiritual leader whose words shaped the faith of millions. But the power he had amassed with loyal followers got to his head, and his noble job had turned him into a figure who could say controversial things and get away with it. Time and time again, he has emphasized that nothing evokes blessings from God more than offering and tithing. He has said things from how followers should try giving 90% of their earnings instead of 10%. He has even challenged people to give offerings that exceed what they give as tithes. As much as non-church members have pointed out how absurd that demand is, he still has loyal church members who see absolutely nothing wrong with the message he's preaching, and they continue to support him. Although his actions have not prompted the government to investigate him for financially ripping people off, this next pastor got his church closed down because he was becoming too powerful. Toby Adegboyega. The level of power and influence that Toby Adegboyega had was a lot. As a 25-year-old, he moved from Lagos, Nigeria to London, UK. It was in 2008 that he started his church, SPAC Nation, in the Croydon area of London. But as much as he could actually pass as a preacher, he was more than just that. His church had a specific demographic, young people who were upper middle class or higher. And there's a good reason why. He was using his power and influence to drain them of money and finance his church and expensive lifestyle. Not only did he have a benchmark of raising £1 million every month, but he promised young people who wanted to go to the best universities in the world or kickstart their careers in fashion, art, or entertainment to spend their finances in his church.
I don't really like your style. Well, the issue is, I don't like yours either.
He would always emphasize that this would make God answer their prayers. His charisma and charm made anyone giving less than £1,000 feel like they didn't belong in his church, and he personally solicited some members to give more than that. But that all ended in 2022 when his church got shut down following investigations that found him guilty of exploiting and abusing his members. Even after all the drama, he still has supporters who wish to see him return to his ministerial duties. But North America and West Africa aren't the place where powerful pastors are operating. Hubert Angel. Hubert Angel Mudzenier isn't just a preacher, he's a force to be reckoned with. As the presiding minister of Spirit Embassy in the UK, his influence in the religious world is undeniable. But his ambitions stretch far beyond the pulpit. Armed with a degree in education and a master's in entrepreneurship, Angel has seamlessly blended faith with business, proving that success isn't confined to just one realm.
That will shake your nations in a mighty way.
Amen.
He's the mastermind behind multiple lucrative ventures, including Club Millionaire Limited, an exclusive high-end concierge service in the UK, and Sam Barkley Construction, a subsidiary of his powerful business empire, Angel Organization. These aren't just side projects. They are pillars of his growing influence and immense wealth, setting him apart from his peers in the ministry. But Angel's reach doesn't stop at business. His prominence has earned him a prestigious appointment as Zimbabwe's ambassador for interfaith dialogue and humanitarian affairs at the African Union, a role that further cements his status as a global power player. With diplomatic powers, he's not like other pastors who rely on their popularity to impose influence. He is a powerful man who holds important positions and holds the power to shape the geopolitical landscape of Africa. Paul Mackenzie. On the surface, Paul Mackenzie seems like a harmless preacher, but seeing the power and influence he has on the members of his church, Good News International Church, is very haunting. His members are so radicalized that they know his church as the Shakahola cult. Mackenzie's rise began in 2003 when he transitioned from a taxi driver to a self-proclaimed prophet, convincing his followers that he had a direct line to God. His teachings weren't just apocalyptic, they were extreme. He denounced education, medical care, and anything tied to the Western world as the work of the Antichrist. Schools, evil, hospitals, a trap. Even food was seen as unnecessary in the face of his twisted vision of salvation. The true extent of his power and influence was revealed to the world in April of 2023. A desperate man reached out to the police. His wife and daughter had vanished after leaving Nairobi to join Paul Mackenzie's remote commune in Kilifi County. They never returned. What authorities found when they arrived was beyond shocking. Emaciated survivors, too weak to stand, revealed they had been ordered to starve themselves to meet Jesus. Police managed to rescue 15 people, but 4 died before they could even reach a hospital. Then came the horrifying discoveries: shallow graves scattered across the 800-acre compound. As the digging continued, the true scale of Mackenzie's twisted influence became clear. The first bodies recovered were mostly children. Some graves contained entire families. This wasn't just a cult. It was a mass graveyard built on blind devotion and manipulation.
Ndio nikaona ni vizuri wacha niingie tu kwa mambo ya ukulima kwa sababu nimekuwa.
But how did Mackenzie convince so many to follow him to such a gruesome end? And why wasn't he stopped sooner? Stay with us as we uncover the dark truth behind the Shakahola tragedy. Robert Kayanja. When you think of megachurch pastors in Uganda, one name stands above the rest: Robert Kayanja. From starting Miracle Center Cathedral in a humble papyrus reed shelter to building one of the largest churches in the region, Kayanja has turned faith into a massive empire. His church seats over 10,000 people, but his influence doesn't stop there. He's the mastermind behind Channel 44 television, reaching millions beyond the church walls. He runs a Bible college, orphanages, and over 1,000 Miracle Center churches nationwide. His presence is everywhere, but so is the controversy. There's no doubt the amount of power and influence Robert Kayanja has in Uganda. The number of people that attend his church programs and crusades are a testament to this. But with that level of power comes people willing to dig up anything to tarnish your name. Back in 2009, 6 young pastors tried to frame Pastor Kayanja for sexually violating them. When police investigated the claims, what they found out was bewildering. It turns out that these claims and accusations were not only false, but part of an attempt to take away his power and influence. And if anything, it only made him more powerful and able to influence the masses. But Pastor Kayanja is one of the few pastors who sparingly use their power. But this next pastor became so powerful that he had to give up preaching the Word of God. Lazarus Chakwera. Lazarus Chakwera's journey from the pulpit to the presidency is one of ambition, power, and controversy. Born in Lilongwe on April 5, 1955, during Malawi's colonial era,
these civic links are coordinated, represented.
His early years were shaped by humble beginnings. His father was a school teacher who relied on farming to support the family. But Chakwera's path was destined for far greater things. Armed with degrees in philosophy and theology from institutions in Malawi and South Africa, he later earned a doctorate from Trinity International University in the U.S. By 1989, he had risen to prominence as the leader of the Malawi Assemblies of God, holding that position for over 2 decades. During this time, he built a reputation as a man of faith, but his ambitions extended far beyond the church walls. In April 2013, speculation swirled about his interest in politics, and within months, it became official. Chakwera was running for president of the Malawi Congress Party. Shockingly, he remained at the helm of the Assemblies of God even as he pursued his political bid, only resigning after securing the MCP leadership. His justification? He claimed politics was just another way to serve God. But was it really about service, or was it about power? In 2020, Chakwera ascended to the highest office in the land, defeating incumbent Peter Mutharika with nearly 59% of the vote. His victory was hailed as a turning point for Malawi, but it didn't take long for cracks to appear. Soon after taking office, he was embroiled in accusations of nepotism, stacking his cabinet with family members and close associates. His running mate's wife was handed a ministerial position, while Chakwera's own daughter secured a diplomatic role in Brussels. Even the vice president's mother-in-law was given a lucrative post. For a man who built his career on faith and integrity, Chakwera's actions raised unsettling questions. Had he truly entered politics to serve the people, or had he simply traded the pulpit for the presidency, using his influence to build an empire of his own? Which black pastor do you feel is the most powerful? And which of them do you feel uses their power the most? Let us know all this and more in the comments section. We talked about their powers. You wouldn't want to miss out on how heavily protected this black pastors are. Do you want to know more? Watch this video before your wife asks you for a favor.